Well, hello everyone. I would like to wish Ernest a happy birthday. Um, he mentioned in my comments this morning, I think it was still nighttime for him, that Wednesday is his birthday. Today is Wednesday, so I'm assuming it's today and not next week. But in any case, happy birthday, Ernest, and thank you for being with us, or with me mostly. But I want to talk today a little bit about this. I bought this a few days ago when we were in Vipiteno, which is also known as Sturzing. Used to be part of Austria, and now it's Italy. But if you go there, you kind of feel like you're in Austria because, I didn't hear too many buongiornos there, but I did hear a lot of German. Everybody there speaks German and Italian, I'm sure. But if you go there, it really doesn't feel so much like you're in Italy. And I remember when I went there in 2009, I was on a bus tour with the Edelweiss Lodge, which is a military lodging in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. They build this, oh, hey, why don't we go to Italy? It's very, very close and just over the border. Technically it's Italy, but it doesn't feel like Italy. And I remembered it was a cute town. I remembered that it was good shopping there, and that's why we went. And while we were there, we were looking for presents for Bill's grandchildren. And I happened to notice this shop that had all these like cute little gadgets and stuff in it. And we went in there and we picked up a few things, and then I looked up, and in a box there was this hand. And I'm a big fan of profanity, and so it also reminds me of an incident that happened in 1983. I was about 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old at that time, depending on what time of the year it was. And we lived in Gloucester, Virginia, which is not too far from Williamsburg. That's where I grew up from the time I was 8. And not too far from Norfolk, Virginia, about an hour away. And that year they built the Waterside Marketplace, which was based on a similar marketplace in Inner Harbor up in Maryland. And I had actually gone to Inner Harbor with my aforementioned former best friend. Her family was from Annapolis, or Maryland, D.C. area. So I already knew it was kind of a neat place. They had ethnic restaurants and cool shops and fudge factory, and one of the shops they had was a hat store. And we went in, and there was my dad bought a baseball hat, and it had a yellow felt middle finger on it like this, except it was much smaller. And he bought this hat, and my dad did not like swearing. He came from a very religious Christian Presbyterian family in the Shenandoah Valley. And I think his father, who was an alcoholic, like my father was, used a lot of profanity. He would get violent. My dad didn't like that. I think it made him nervous. So you never hear him swear. He would never say anything stronger than damn or hell. And he didn't like it when we swore. And of course, I have a mouth like a sailor, so the two of us didn't mesh a lot. Dad was also a singer, and I think that maybe he felt a little usurped or when I started to sing. When I was 18 when I started singing. So anyway, some of you might have seen this hat. I've worn this hat a few times, especially when I'm in a foul mood. It is Mr. Rogers flipping off. I bought this from a Chinese vendor, and I don't think you can buy this anymore. But I love that hat. And so when I saw this finger, I knew I had to buy this. Because it reminded me of my dad in that hat. It was like this. Anyway, he comes out with this hat. My mom was like, are you sure why did you buy that? You're not going to wear that, are you? And he said, sure, why not? I'm going to wear it to Rotary. I'm going to say I don't agree with any of you. And my mom said, "You're not going to wear that, are you? Do you know what that means?" And he's like, "Sure I do." And she's like, I really don't know that you want to wear that. And he says, "Well, doesn't it mean go to hell?" And I guess in a manner of speaking, yes, it does. But no, not really. So she leaned over and whispered to him. And I was like, I already know what it means because I've been watching HBO. And by that time, I had already discovered George Carlin. And it was because of my mom. Because my mom would watch him. When my dad wasn't around, she would watch George Carlin on HBO. And one time I walked in and she was watching him. And I started cracking up. And she said, "Now don't tell your dad you were watching this." Of course, I became a dedicated fan after that. Bought all his albums. He is a personal hero of mine. But my dad didn't like it. And when he would catch me watching Richard Pryor or George Carlin, I watched more Carlin than Pryor, he would come and lecture me. And I think he wanted me to be a proper Southern lady. And my mom, if you were to meet her, you probably would think she was, because she's got this very deep, thick Virginia accent. She grew up in Buena Vista, Virginia, and she talks like this, and she'd be like, "Jenny, God damn." No, she didn't say God damn it. Anyway, but she plays the organ, she plays piano, she does needlework and knitting. She owned a business where she taught people how to do things with needles. I'm not talking about voodoo. But she didn't mind cussing, but she wouldn't do it in front of my dad because he would get very upset. And he bought that hat. And when she told him what it meant, he hid it away. I think he put it under the front seat of the car. And I wish I had stolen that hat from him because I still think about it and I really regret not lifting it. Because I thought it was a hilarious hat. There was an even funnier one in that shop that I loved. It was two felt dogs on the brim, and they had put a little plastic fire hydrant, and you could pull a string and the leg would go up. I would love to have a hat like that. That's the kind of person I am. I like irreverent humor. I like juvenile profanity, and I also like really witty, funny humor too. So anyway, that's why I bought this hat, this finger. And what is funny is when I bought this, the woman that waited on us was this beautiful, tall, thin, gorgeous local, blonde hair, blue eyes. And she just kind of giggled and she goes, "Oh, you want the Stinkefinger?" In Germany and in German countries, German-speaking countries, that is what it's called. It's called the Stinkefinger. And you can get in some trouble in Germany. I don't know about other countries, but in Germany, if you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off and you do this, and they have a picture of it, they can go to the police and you can get into some trouble. And God forbid you ever do that to a cop. Don't ever flip off a cop. Do not swear at them. Do not insult them. Because if you do, they can fine you for that. There's even a catalog in Germany where they have a list of examples of insults and fines that were levied on people for insulting a cop. And I discovered it 10 years ago. A woman that grew up in Germany had shared it on social media. And it was hilarious. If you call a cop a bastard, you can get fined a couple €1,000 for that. Depending on your income or the judge or whatever. Somebody has. If you flip off a cop, you can get a fine for that, €4,000. Or maybe 750, depends. I'll put a link to that in the description to the catalog, because it's pretty funny. And I'm inspired today to talk about this hand, which is a great prop, I think, because my friend Dave, who I met in Armenia 30 years ago, he was a German major in college before he went in the Peace Corps in Russia. And he speaks fluent Russian, and probably Ukrainian too, because his wife's from Ukraine. But he majored in German. And I guess they never taught him that this is a Stinkefinger. And I always wonder why they call it the Stinkefinger. Is it because it's distasteful and because it's kind of a rude thing? It's stinky, it's unpleasant. Or is it because of where this finger might have gone? I won't talk too much more about that. But anyway, I thought that might be a funny thing to talk about. And I have still more stuff to do. I need to write more about our trip. So I'm going to cut this off now. But I hope this was an entertaining video. For some of you anyway. I know some people like to be hateful and say mean things or complain about my content or whatever. And as I always say, if you don't like it, just move on. There's nobody forcing you to watch this. And if you are a believer in freedom and you are a believer in American values, then you should respect people's rights to speak their minds. And yes, show this finger, or I guess I will do that. I'm really tickled about this. I love this. This is the kind of stuff I really enjoy. And this is a really nice product. Somebody asked me if this was printed 3D. I really don't know. I don't think it was. It's made of resin. It's very heavy. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's like quite solid. And I think it was a woman's hand. And if you look at it, you can see the skin and the wrinkles and everything. Bravo, whoever made this. I love it. It came from Hong Kong and was imported through the Netherlands. Big surprise. Anyway, hope you have a good Wednesday. I'm off to bore people with stories about my trip. So see you next time. Maybe I'll even make a song today. Or a parody. Why not? Ciao.